Life will test you, not just once, not gently. It will come for you again and again until it believes you are ready to break. But there is one thing it fails to understand about you. Every blow makes you colder, sharper, and more precise. While weaker men beg for the storm to end, you learn to master it. Discipline is not merely a habit, it is a weapon. And the harder life comes at you, the stronger and more relentless that weapon must become. Machiavelli understood a truth the world rarely tells you. Fortune favors the man who refuses to flinch. Not the fortunate man, not the loudest man, the disciplined man, the one who feels pressure and answers it with unwavering resolve. So let me ask you this, the last time life tested you, did you retreat or did you rise? Because from this moment on, shrinking is no longer an option. If you're ready to become untouchable, leave these words in the comments. I forge myself in fire. Say them, claim them, let the world hear them. This is the Machiavellian mindset, and what you're about to discover will permanently change the way you carry pain power and purpose. Stay with me. Every word is built for the man you're becoming. Number 1. The test is not your enemy. Understand this before anything else. The test was never sent to destroy you. It was sent to reveal you. Most men live their entire lives never knowing what they are made of because they were never pressed hard enough to find out. But you are different. Life has chosen to press you, and that pressure is not a curse. It is a mirror. Every hardship you face is showing you exactly where you are weak, exactly where you must grow, exactly what you have been avoiding. The weak man curses the test. The disciplined man studies it. He asks, not why is this happening to me, but what is this demanding I become? That single shift in thinking separates the ruler from the ruled. Machiavelli knew that fortune is like a river. It floods and destroys those who built nothing, but it obeys the man who prepared his walls in advance. Your discipline is those walls. Your composure is your fortress. When the test comes, and it always comes, you do not panic and you do not plead. You observe, you calculate, you respond with cold precision. Pain is information. Struggle is instruction. And the man who learns to read them will never again be a victim of his circumstances. So stop asking life to go easy on you. That is the prayer of the defeated. Instead, sharpen yourself against every obstacle it sends. If you are ready to master life's tests, instead of fearing them, leave these words in the comments. I forge myself in fire. Number 2. Discipline is the only loyalty that never abandons you. Everything else in life will eventually leave. Motivation disappears the moment the road becomes difficult. Friends drift away when your struggle no longer fits their convenience. Emotions rise and fall like the tide, lifting you with confidence one day and pulling you under the next. But discipline, steady, intentional, and unshakable, never walks away. It does not care whether you are exhausted. It does not care whether you are discouraged. It never waits for the perfect mood or ideal circumstances. It simply acts again and again until what once seemed impossible becomes your new normal. That is why a disciplined man is so dangerous. He has removed emotion from the formula of his own success. He does not bargain with the weaker version of himself. He refuses to let one difficult day become a difficult week, or one failure become the identity he carries for the rest of his life. Machiavelli understood that a prince who relies on the goodwill of others builds his throne on sand, but a prince who relies on his own strength builds on stone. You must become your own stone. When no one is watching you train, when no one believes in you, you continue. When the world tells you to rest, you ask yourself whether rest is earned or whether it is surrender wearing a comfortable disguise. Most people live according to how they feel. Powerful people live according to what they have already decided. And that decision must be made once made completely and defended without compromise against every excuse that tries to pull you away from it. Do not mistake this for being harsh with yourself. It is one of the deepest forms of self-respect. You are telling yourself that you deserve discipline, that your future matters too much to be traded for the comfort of the present moment. The man who governs himself needs no one else to govern him. The man who controls his own habits cannot easily be controlled by anyone around him. That is the freedom hidden inside discipline. If these words resonate with you, if they are settling deep within you, leave this in the comments. I forge myself in fire. Number 3. Silence is your sharpest weapon. Learn to say less, and you will gain greater control. The average man announces every thought, every plan, every wound, believing that constant expression makes him significant. In reality, it only makes him predictable, and a predictable man is always easier to defeat. Machiavelli understood that power belongs to those who reveal little while observing everything. When you speak less, you are underestimated, and there is no advantage greater than being underestimated by the people who intend to compete with you. Let them talk. Let them boast about what they are going to do. While their mouths are busy, your hands are working quietly, patiently, building something they will not see until it is already too late to stop. Silence protects your energy. Every time you explain yourself to someone who is determined to misunderstand you, you hand them a piece of your power and receive nothing in return. Every time you announce your goals to people who never asked you, trade the satisfaction of the finished work for the cheap applause of the mere intention. The disciplined man refuses this trade. He keeps his plans close, his emotions closed, and his reactions controlled. When he is insulted, he does not erupt. He notes it, files it away, and remembers exactly who showed him their true face. When he is provoked, he does not take the bait because he understands that whoever controls the tempo of the exchange controls its outcome, and the man who reacts has already surrendered that control. Silence also teaches you to listen, and the man who listens learns the secrets that loud men are too busy talking to ever hear. In every room, information is flowing. Weaknesses are being revealed. Alliances are being formed and broken. But only the quiet man perceives it because he has stopped filling the air with the noise of his own ego. This is not weakness. This is not fear of speaking. It is the deliberate, strategic decision to let your presence speak louder than your voice ever could. A calm man in a room of anxious talkers holds a strange gravity. People sense that he knows something, that he is holding something back, and that uncertainty gives him authority he never had to demand. Cultivate that gravity. Guard your words like a king guards his treasury, spending them only when the return is worth it. Speak with intention, or do not speak at all. And when you finally do act, let the result be so undeniable that no explanation is required. If you are ready to master your silence and let your discipline do the talking, comment, I forge myself in fire. Number 4. Master your emotions, or they will master you. Your emotions are real, but they are not your rulers. And the moment you forget this distinction is the moment you hand your life to whoever knows how to pull your strings. Anger, fear, lust, envy, desperation. These are the levers that other men use to move you. And if you have not learned to govern them from within, then you have left the gates of your own fortress standing open for anyone perceptive enough to walk straight through. A disciplined man is not a man without emotion. That is a myth repeated by people who have never truly battled themselves. He experiences everything the weaker man experiences. He feels the sting of insult, the pull of temptation, and the cold weight of fear, but he refuses to obey them. He creates one unbreakable pause between emotion and action, and inside that pause lies his greatest power. Machiavelli understood that any leader ruled by his passions becomes a leader who can be manipulated, provoked, and ultimately defeated by someone patient enough to learn his emotional patterns. So study your own triggers before anyone else does. Know exactly what makes your anger rise, what clouds your judgment, and what tempts you to sacrifice your long-term purpose for a moment of temporary comfort. The man who understands his weaknesses can defend against them. The man who pretends they do not exist will be defeated by the same vulnerabilities again and again, never realizing why he keeps failing at the very same crossroads. When rage comes, do not suppress it and pretend it is not there. That only builds pressure that will burst at the worst possible moment. Instead, acknowledge it, contain it, and redirect its energy towards something that serves you. Rage that is disciplined becomes fuel. Fear that is examined becomes foresight. Pain that is understood becomes armor. This is the alchemy of powerful men, the ability to transform the very emotions that destroy others into instruments of strength. Never allow the world to watch you come undone, because your composure is the currency of your authority. The moment you lose it in public, you tell everyone watching that you can be broken. And once they know it, they will remember it. Eventually, they will use it against you. The world has little mercy for a man who cannot govern himself, and rightly so. A man who cannot command his own inner state has no business trying to command anything beyond it. Train yourself to master the small moments so you are prepared for the great ones. Resist the urge to answer the message that provoked your anger before your mind has settled. Refuse the drink, the distraction, or the comfort that tempts you whenever discipline demands another path. Every small victory over impulse becomes another deposit into your reserve of self-mastery, a reserve you will rely on when the real test arrives, and it always arrives without warning. The man who has disciplined himself in quiet moments will stand like stone in the loud ones, while everyone around him collapses into panic and reaction. That stillness is not coldness. It is command. It is the visible proof that you belong to yourself and to no one else. Rule your inner world, and no outer force will ever fully rule you. If you are ready to become the master of your emotions instead of their servant, comment, "I forge myself in fire." Number 5, become comfortable with being feared, not liked. There will come a moment in your rise when you must choose between being loved and being respected. And if you are wise, you will stop chasing affection and start commanding respect, because affection is fragile and respect is durable. Machiavelli asked whether it is better to be loved or feared. And though the world flinches at his answer, the truth beneath it is one. Every serious man must eventually face affection that exists only while you are convenient, disappears the moment you become inconvenient. But respect earned through strength remains even when people do not like you. This does not mean becoming cruel, nor does it mean creating enemies simply for the satisfaction of doing so. That is the behavior of an insecure man pretending to be powerful, not a truly strong one. It means refusing to sacrifice your dignity just to gain the approval of people who require your self-respect as the price of acceptance. The man who must be liked by everyone eventually belongs to everyone because he abandons his own judgment, his own boundaries, and his own standards the moment they threaten his popularity. And any man who is controlled by the fear of disapproval can be manipulated by anyone willing to withhold approval. You must reach the point where the crowd's opinion no longer dictates your decisions, where you can enter any room without feeling the need to perform, without softening your truth, and without making yourself smaller, so that smaller minds feel more comfortable around you. At first, this feels deeply uncomfortable because human beings are raised to seek belonging. Stepping beyond that need can feel almost like walking into exile, but there is a strange and powerful freedom on the other side of that discomfort. The freedom of a man who no longer needs anything from anyone, who gives from strength rather than begging from weakness. When you stop needing to be liked, paradoxically, become far more magnetic, because people are drawn to those who do not chase them, and they respect those who cannot be bought with cheap approval. The disciplined man sets standards and enforces them. He does not explain his boundaries endlessly or apologize for having them. When someone crosses him, he does not launch into an emotional display. He simply adjusts the access that person has to his life quietly and permanently, and he does not lose a night of sleep over it. This is what it means to be feared in the truest sense. Not that people tremble before you, but that they understand there are consequences to disrespecting you, that your kindness is a choice and never an obligation, and that you will not tolerate being treated as less than what you are. People treat you according to the standard you enforce, never the standard you announce. You can declare your worth all day long, but if you accept mistreatment, you have taught them that your words mean nothing. So teach them the opposite through your actions. Be the man who is warm to those who earn it and unmoved by those who do not. Be the man whose presence carries weight, whose approval must be earned, whose respect is valuable precisely because it is not given away to everyone who smiles at you. The world does not respect the man who is available to everyone. It respects the man who is selective, self-possessed, and immune to flattery. Let them call you cold. Let them say you have changed. What they are really saying, they can no longer control you. And that loss of control frightens them because your independence exposes their dependence. Wear their discomfort as proof that you have finally stepped into your power. If you are ready to choose respect over approval and become truly untouchable, comment the words that forge you. I forge myself in fire. Number 6. Turn your pain into a private engine. Every man carries wounds, but only a few learn to convert them into power. And that conversion is the difference between the men who are broken by their past and the men who are built by it. The world will tell you to display your pain, to broadcast your suffering, to seek sympathy from strangers who will forget your name by morning. But the disciplined man understands that pain shared carelessly becomes weakness on display. Pain that is mastered in private becomes an engine that never runs out of fuel. Look back at your losses, your betrayals, your failures, and the nights you lay awake, wondering whether you would ever escape the hole you had fallen into. Then realize that every one of those moments was raw material, waiting to be transformed into something stronger than you have ever been. For Machiavelli did not produce his greatest work from a place of comfort. He wrote it during driven from the city. He loved, stripped of his position, tortured and humiliated by the very powers he had once served. Yet it was within that collapse that he created the wisdom that outlived every man who tried to destroy him. This is the pattern repeated by powerful people throughout history. They take the fire meant to consume them and forge it into a blade. So stop asking why the pain entered your life. Start asking what that pain can build. When betrayal comes, do not waste your strength on fantasies of revenge while your enemy sleeps peacefully. Instead, allow the betrayal to sharpen your judgment, strengthen your boundaries, and teach you to trust with open eyes instead of closed ones. When you fail, do not drown in shame, because shame is a passive emotion that keeps you looking backward. Instead, extract the precise lesson the failure was trying to deliver. Absorb it into your strategy and let it make your next attempt sharper than your last. The disciplined man treats his suffering like a private laboratory, examining it coldly, learning from it relentlessly, and refusing to let it define him as a victim. He does not deny that it hurt. Denial is just another form of weakness, a refusal to look at reality as it is. He acknowledges the wound fully, and then he decides what he is going to do with it, because meaning is not something that happens to you. It is something you impose upon your experience through the force of your own will. This is the great secret that separates the strong from the weak. The same event that destroys one man elevates another. And the difference is never the event itself, but the frame the man places around it. Two men lose everything. One becomes bitter and small, cursing the world until his final breath, while the other becomes dangerous and free. Having discovered that a man who has already lost everything has nothing left to fear, fear, after all, is the great chain that keeps most men obedient and mediocre. Fear of losing what they have. Fear of what people will think. fear of the pain they have not yet learned to convert. But when you have transformed your deepest pain into fuel, you become something the fearful cannot comprehend and cannot stop, because you have made peace with the very thing they are running from. You have looked into the darkness that terrifies them, and you have learned to work there, to build there, to grow there. Guard this engine carefully. Do not let the world see the depth of what drives you, because the moment they understand your fuel, they will try to contaminate it or extinguish it. Keep it private, keep it burning, and let the results speak while the source remains hidden. Let them wonder where your relentlessness comes from, why you do not quit when other men would have collapsed, how you keep rising from blows that should have finished you. That mystery is part of your power. The pain that was meant to be your grave becomes the foundation of your empire. And every person who tried to break you unknowingly becomes an architect of the man you were compelled to become. Thank them in silence, then surpass them through your actions. If you are ready to transform everything that was meant to destroy you into unstoppable strength, leave these words in the comments. I forge myself in fire. Number 7. Play the long game while everyone else chases the moment. The world is filled with men addicted to immediate rewards, and that addiction is exactly what keeps them from becoming truly dangerous. A man who cannot delay gratification can always be defeated by someone patient enough to outlast him. Look around, and you will see this pattern everywhere. Men who exchange tomorrow for the comfort of tonight. Men who abandon discipline the moment it stops feeling exciting. Men who crave the reward but refuse the years of ordinary, unseen work required to earn it. Those men are not your competition. Your real competition is the rare individual who thinks in decades while everyone else thinks in days, who plants seeds knowing the harvest may not come for years, and who is willing to be misunderstood today because he can already see a future the impatient are incapable of imagining. Machiavelli understood that the prince who secures his power, gradually laying careful foundations and building slowly, holds it far longer than the one who seizes it in a single dramatic stroke. Because what is built quickly is rooted shallowly, and what is rooted shallowly is torn out by the first strong wind. You must become the man of deep roots. This means you must fall in love with the process itself, with the daily repetitions that no one applauds, with the quiet accumulation of small advantages that compound into an unassailable position over time. The disciplined man does not need the world to notice his progress because he is not performing for an audience. I is building for a future self that most people are too short-sighted to even conceive of. While others chase the quick win, the viral moment, the shortcut that promises everything and delivers nothing, you are stacking brick upon patient brick. And one day, those bricks will form a wall so high that the men who mocked your slowness will not even be able to see over it. Patience is not passivity. This is the misunderstanding that keeps weak men from ever developing it. The long game is not sitting still and hoping. It is relentless, deliberate action aimed at a target so far in the distance that only you can see it. It is doing the work today that will not pay off for years, and doing it again tomorrow and the day after with the calm certainty of a man who understands that time rewards the consistent and punishes the erratic. Consider how many gifted men you have watched begin with fire and fade within months. Men who had every advantage except the one that matters most. The willingness to keep going long after the excitement died and only the discipline remained. Their talent was real, but talent without endurance is a candle in the wind, bright for a moment and then gone. While your discipline is a furnace that only grows hotter the longer it burns. That is why you will surpass men who were once far ahead of you, not because you were more gifted, but because you refused to stop when stopping would have been so easy. Every day, you hold your discipline while others break theirs. The gap between you widens invisibly at first, and then suddenly undeniably. The compounding of discipline is the closest thing to magic that exists in the real world, because its effects are hidden for so long that most men quit right before the curve turns sharply in their favor, never knowing how close they were to the breakthrough. Do not be one of them. Train yourself to find satisfaction, not in the arrival, but in the movement toward it, because the man who constantly needs to arrive will eventually wear himself out, while the man who learns to enjoy the climb becomes impossible to stop. You must also protect your long-term vision from the saboteurs who will inevitably appear. The people unsettled by your discipline, because it exposes the absence of their own. The ones who tempt you to leave your path for just one more comfortable night. The ones who tell you that you've become obsessive too intense or no longer any fun. Understand what is really happening when they say those things. Your discipline has become a mirror, and they are uncomfortable with the reflection staring back at them. So instead of rising to your level, they would rather pull you down to theirs. Do not allow it. Protect your time. Protect your energy. Protect your vision from anyone who cannot see as far ahead as you do. The long game feels lonely at the beginning, but crowded at the end. Because when you finally reach the place, your patience has been building toward the very people who doubted. You will suddenly want to stand beside your success and claim they believed in you all along. Let them. You will know the truth. The truth is that everything was built in silence, through waiting, through thousands of unseen days, when giving up would have been far easier than continuing. That is the making of a formidable man. If you are ready to master patience and play a game so long that ordinary men cannot even comprehend it, comment the words that forge your discipline. I forge myself in fire. Number 8. Guard your inner circle, like the gates of a kingdom. The people you allow closest to you will shape your destiny more than almost any decision you will ever make. And yet most men choose their inner circle by accident, by proximity, by history, by comfort, rather than by any deliberate standard. And then they wonder why their lives feel heavy, why their ambitions keep dying, why they never seem to rise. Understand this with total clarity. You become the average of the influences you permit into your life. And if you surround yourself with men who are comfortable with mediocrity, who mock ambition, who drain your energy and offer nothing but their complaints, then no amount of personal discipline will fully save you, because you are fighting uphill against the gravity of your own environment every single day. Machiavelli warned that a prince is judged by the counsel he keeps, that the men around a leader reveal the quality of the leader himself, and that a wise ruler surrounds himself with advisers who strengthen his judgment rather than flatter his ego. You must become the ruler of your own kingdom, and the borders of that kingdom are the people you grant access to your mind, your time, and your energy. Not everyone deserves that access. This is not arrogance. It is the most basic form of self-preservation, because the human mind is porous, and the attitudes, fears, and limitations of those around you seep into you, whether you consent to it or not. Choose deliberately. Ask yourself, of every person in your life, whether they leave you stronger or weaker, whether they expand your vision or shrink it, whether they call you upward toward the man you are becoming or backward toward the man you are trying to leave behind. Be brutally honest in this assessment, because sentimentality here is a luxury you cannot afford. Some of the people holding you back are people you love, people who share your history, people who have been beside you for years. And this is precisely what makes them so difficult to release, because loyalty to the past can quietly become betrayal of the future. You do not have to hate them. You do not need to turn your departure into a dramatic event. You simply change the level of access quietly, consistently, and without announcement. Give less of yourself to those who cannot value your depth, and invest more of your energy in those who have earned it. A disciplined man understands that his attention is limited, which makes it valuable. He spends it the way a wise ruler manages his treasury, with care, intention, and never on people who offer nothing in return. Be especially cautious of those who smile in your presence, while quietly resenting your progress. They are often more dangerous than open enemies. An open enemy makes his position obvious. A hidden one waits patiently until you have lowered your guard. Pay close attention to how people respond as you grow, because nothing reveals character faster than another person's success. The people who celebrate your victories sincerely, who feel inspired rather than threatened by your progress, who genuinely want to see you become everything you are capable of becoming. Those are the people worth keeping close, and they are far rarer than most imagine. Then there are the ones who become silent when you succeed, who subtly minimize your achievements, who preferred you when you were struggling because your struggle made them feel more comfortable with their own lives. Those are the ones you must slowly move to the outer rings of your life, no matter how long they have been there. Build your circle, small and strong, rather than large and weak, because a handful of loyal, ambitious, disciplined men will carry you further than 100 acquaintances who mean nothing when the pressure comes. And when you find those rare few who are truly worthy of your trust, who have proven themselves through time and testing, invest in them deeply. Protect them fiercely and never take them for granted, because a strong inner circle is a fortress that no external enemy can easily breach. You are the gatekeeper of your own kingdom, and every person you admit is either reinforcing your walls or weakening them from within. Guard the gates as if your entire future depends on it, because in a very real sense, it does. The company you keep is the destiny you are choosing. If you are ready to guard your inner circle, with the ruthlessness of a king protecting his throne. Comment the words that forge your discipline. I forge myself in fire. Number 9, become unpredictable. Become untouchable. The moment a man becomes fully predictable, he becomes fully controllable. Because anyone who can predict your reactions can engineer your defeat before you even realize the game has begun. This is why the disciplined man cultivates a certain quality of mystery, not as a cheap trick to seem interesting, but as a genuine strategic defense against a world full of people who study you in order to use you. Machiavelli understood that a leader who is entirely transparent hands his enemies a map of his mind, and that the wise prince keeps something in reserve, a hidden depth, an unrevealed capacity, so that those who move against him can never be entirely certain of what he will do. You must develop this same reserve. Do not show all of your cards. Do not reveal the full extent of your plans. Do not let the world measure the exact limits of your ambition, because the moment they know precisely how far you intend to go, they can position themselves to stop you at that exact point. Let them underestimate you. There is no disadvantage in being underestimated, and no advantage in being feared prematurely before you have built the position to back that fear with force. The man who displays his strength too soon attracts resistance before he is fully prepared. The man who keeps his strength hidden until the decisive moment acts only when resistance no longer matters. Think about how much energy you have wasted over the years trying to explain yourself to people who were never interested in understanding you, defending plans that never needed defending, seeking approval from people who never had the authority to give it. That pattern ends here. A disciplined man moves quietly and allows his results to become the only announcement he makes. Results cannot be argued with, while intentions can be questioned, mocked, or sabotaged long before they have the chance to become reality. Remaining unpredictable also shields you from the emotional manipulation that traps ordinary men. When your reactions cannot be anticipated, the people who try to provoke you lose their greatest advantage. They insult you expecting anger, but you answer with composure. They test your resolve expecting weakness, yet you respond with quiet strength. They corner you expecting panic, and you respond with a stillness that unnerves them more than any outburst ever could. Over time, they learn that you cannot be read, and a man who cannot be read cannot be reliably attacked, because every attack is a gamble against an unknown response. This is the essence of becoming untouchable, not that you are never targeted, but that no target you present can be trusted. No weakness you show can be assumed genuine. No pattern in your behavior can be exploited with confidence. Keep your routines disciplined, but your responses varied. Let your work ethic be utterly consistent, while your strategy remains fluid, adapting to each situation rather than following a script that others could anticipate. The disciplined man is a paradox to those who watch him. Absolutely reliable in his principles and completely unpredictable in his methods. A fixed point in his values, surrounded by a fog of tactical mystery. This combination is what makes him so difficult to defeat, because his enemies can neither corrupt his foundation nor predict his maneuvers. Understand that most men are transparent because transparency is easy and mystery requires discipline. It takes strength to hold your tongue when you want to reveal, to stay calm, when you want to react, to keep your depths hidden, when the whole world is begging you to expose them. Cultivate silence around your next moves. When you achieve something, do not immediately broadcast how you did it, because the method that won you this victory may be needed again, and a method revealed is a method neutralized. Let people see the result without seeing the machinery behind it, and they will begin to attribute to you a kind of power they cannot quite name, a sense that you know things they do not, that you operate on a level they cannot access. That perception is itself a form of power, and it costs you nothing but the discipline to remain quiet. Never let the world grow too comfortable in its understanding of you, because the man they think they have figured out is the man they have already begun to plan against. Remain slightly beyond their grasp, always a little deeper than they assumed, always capable of more than they measured. In that, between what they expect and what you deliver, lies the whole of your strategic advantage. Become the man no one can predict, and you become the man no one can stop. If you are ready to embrace true unpredictability and step into the strength of becoming untouchable, leave the words that define your discipline in the comments. I forge myself in fire. Number 10. The final forging. Become the man life could never break. You have now reached the end of this journey, and you must understand something. None of what you have heard was meant to entertain you. It was meant to shape you, to burn away every soft excuse and uncover the iron that has always existed beneath the surface. Life will continue to test you. That will never change. Anyone who promises that the struggle will eventually disappear is selling comfort to people who fear greatness. The trials do not end, but you are no longer the same man who once feared them, because you now understand the great truth that separates those who lead from those who are led. The harder life strikes, the more ruthless your discipline must become, until your discipline is so complete that no blow can find a crack to enter through. Machiavelli did not write for the comfortable or the weak. He wrote for the man willing to see the world exactly as it is, without illusion, without the comforting lies that keep ordinary men obedient and small, and to act within that world with clarity and force. You are becoming that man. Every principle you have absorbed, here the mastery of your emotions, the power of your silence, the strength of your patience, the guarding of your inner circle, the conversion of your pain into fuel, the cultivation of your mystery. All of it converges into a single truth. You belong to yourself, and a man who fully belongs to himself can be conquered by no one. Understand what you have built. You have built walls that fortune cannot flood, a fortress of self-command that no manipulator can breach, a discipline so deep that it no longer feels like effort, but like identity, like the very shape of who you are. Think back for a moment to the man you were before you began this climb, the man who flinched at every setback, who begged the world for ease, who let his moods dictate his actions and his fears dictate his limits. That man is gone buried beneath the weight of everything you have chosen to become, and he is not coming back. because you have seen what lies on the other side of discipline, and you can never again unsee it. The world will notice the change in you, and not all of them will like it, because your strength exposes their weakness and your discipline shames their excuses. But their discomfort is not your concern. It is merely proof that you have risen beyond the reach of their control. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them wait for you to fall back into the man you used to be. You will not, because you have crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. And the man who has once tasted true self-mastery can never again be content as a slave to his impulses, his fears, or the opinions of the crowd. This is your moment of final forging. Take everything life has thrown at you, every betrayal, every failure, every night you thought you could not continue, and understand that it was all the fire and you were always the blade being shaped within it. You are sharper now, colder where you need to be, and unbreakable where it counts. Understand this as well. The discipline you have built is not a prison, but a throne. For the man who commands himself is the freest man alive, answerable to no impulse, enslaved to no craving, dependent on no one's approval to know his own worth. While other men are dragged through life by their weaknesses, you will move through it by your choosing your path with a clarity they will never possess and a steadiness they will never understand. That is the reward hidden inside the iron, and it is a reward no one can ever take from you, because you built it with your own hands in the silence of 1,000 disciplined days. Walk forward as the man life failed to break, the man who answered every trial not with surrender, but with a discipline that became harder and more relentless every time life tried to destroy him. That is the kind of man Machiavelli admired. That is the kind of man the world quietly follows. And that is the man you have chosen to become. Carry these principles with you. Return to them whenever life begins testing you again. And never forget this. Your discipline is the one ally that will never betray you. This has been Machiavellian Mode. If these words awaken something inside you, if you could feel your resolve growing stronger with every sentence, then leave one final declaration in the comments. I forge myself in fire. Say it with conviction. Because the man who declares his own transformation takes the first step toward living it. Before you leave, if this message spoke to the man you are becoming, do 3 things. Like this video so it can reach other men who need to hear it. Subscribe to Machiavellian Mode so you never miss the lessons that sharpen your mind. And turn on notifications so when the next lesson arrives, you are among the first to answer the call. Now go and become untouchable. The world is waiting for the man you were always meant to become.